Before LeBron James became one of the greatest athletes in history, the entire world was already calling him the chosen one, while he was still a teenager. Think about how terrifying that really is. Most people spend their entire lives trying to earn expectations. LeBron James inherited impossible expectations before adulthood even began. Millions of people watching, constant pressure, an entire industry waiting to see whether he would become a legend or one of the biggest disappointments in sports history. And the craziest part? Most young athletes collapse under pressure far smaller than that. But LeBron James didn't just survive the pressure. He carried it for over 2 decades, while the entire world watched every move he made. Long before the championships, before the billion-dollar empire, before becoming one of the most recognizable athletes on earth, LeBron James was just a kid from Akron, Ohio, trying to escape a life filled with instability and uncertainty. And almost nobody back then understood. They were watching one of the greatest careers sports would ever see. Life for LeBron James started with struggle. He was raised by a single mother in Akron, Ohio. Money was tight constantly. Stability barely existed. There were periods where life felt unpredictable almost every day, moving from apartment to apartment, struggling to stay grounded, watching his mother fight constantly just to survive. And when chaos surrounds someone during childhood, they usually go one of 2 directions. They break, or they become unusually strong. For LeBron, basketball became escape, not just a sport, structure, purpose, identity. And very early on, people noticed something different about him, not just talent, presence. Even as a kid, LeBron played with a level of confidence and awareness that felt unnatural for his age. He wasn't just reacting. He was reading the game, seeing plays before they happened. And over time, that ability started separating him from everyone around him. Because greatness at elite levels usually becomes visible long before the world fully understands what it's looking at. As LeBron entered high school, the attention exploded. Games sold out. Media arrived constantly. National headlines started forming around a teenager. That kind of pressure destroys most people. Because suddenly, every mistake becomes public. Every bad game becomes a conversation. Every weakness gets analyzed by millions. But somehow, LeBron kept improving. And eventually, the phrase that would follow him forever appeared. The chosen one. A teenager carrying expectations that massive should have collapsed mentally. But LeBron James kept performing anyway. And maybe that's what made him different. He didn't run from pressure. He adapted to it. By the time he graduated high school, he wasn't just a basketball prospect anymore. He had become a phenomenon. When the Cleveland Cavaliers selected him as the #1 pick in the NBA draft, an entire city believed salvation had finally arrived. Think about that pressure. A teenager expected to rescue a franchise, rescue a city, possibly rescue an entire era of basketball. That level of expectation crushes most athletes before greatness even begins. But LeBron adapted almost instantly. The speed, the power, the intelligence, even against grown professionals. He looked different. And over time, the hype stopped feeling exaggerated because LeBron James was somehow getting better under pressure instead of worse. Year after year, he evolved, scoring, passing, leadership, athleticism. It felt like watching someone slowly master every aspect of basketball in real time. But despite the individual success, there was one thing missing: championships. And eventually, the criticism became brutal. People questioned whether he could truly lead, whether he had the mentality to win at the highest level. Then came the moment that changed everything. The decision. LeBron announced he was leaving Cleveland to join the Miami Heat. And overnight, one of the most loved athletes in America became one of the most hated. Fans burned jerseys. Crowds booed him relentlessly. The media attacked him constantly. Because people don't just hate failure. Sometimes they hate ambition too. And maybe that was the first moment LeBron truly understood the cost of global fame. But pressure creates clarity. And in Miami, LeBron transformed, more focused, more disciplined, more ruthless. Eventually, the championships came, then another. Suddenly, the narrative changed, because winning rewrites history faster than almost anything else. But LeBron still wasn't finished, because deep down, there was unfinished business waiting in Cleveland. Then came one of the greatest moments in sports history. 2016 NBA Finals. Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland Cavaliers. The Warriors had built one of the greatest teams ever assembled, and Cleveland fell behind 3-1. At that point, nobody believed the Cavaliers could recover. Nobody. But LeBron James delivered one of the greatest performances basketball has ever seen. The comeback shocked the sports world, and when Cleveland finally won the championship, it felt bigger than basketball itself. Because after decades of heartbreak, the city finally had its moment, and LeBron fulfilled the promise everyone placed on him as a teenager. That's almost impossible psychologically. Most people collapse under expectations that massive. LeBron carried them for decades, but what made LeBron truly different wasn't just basketball. It was vision. Because while many athletes focused only on sports, LeBron thought bigger. Business, media, ownership, legacy. Over time, he transformed himself into something much larger than an athlete, a global brand. And eventually, LeBron James became one of the first billionaire athletes in history. Think about how insane that really is. A kid raised in instability and poverty became one of the most powerful figures in sports and business worldwide. That's not normal success. That's transformation at the highest level imaginable. And maybe that's the real lesson hidden inside LeBron James's story. Pressure reveals people. Some collapse under it, others evolve because of it. And maybe greatness is not about avoiding pressure at all. Maybe greatness is learning how to carry it longer than everyone else. Because for over 20 years, LeBron James performed under expectations that would mentally destroy most human beings. And somehow, he kept going, winning, adapting, evolving. That level of longevity is almost unheard of. And whether people admire him, criticize him, or debate where he ranks among basketball legends, one thing is impossible to deny. LeBron James survived pressure at a level almost nobody in sports history has ever experienced, and instead of breaking under it, he turned it into fuel. That's why his story matters far beyond basketball, because deep down, it's really a story about carrying expectations without letting them destroy you. And maybe that's one of the hardest things a human being can ever learn to do. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more videos about the people who changed the world through obsession, vision, and relentless ambition. Because behind every billion-dollar empire, every legendary comeback, and every world-changing success story, there's always a moment where nobody believed it would work. And those are the stories we tell here. See you in the next one.